Good evening and welcome to the Town of Acton Selectmen's meeting for December 11th, 2014. First item on the agenda, salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We've asked Marita and Mark to come in tonight and stay for our meeting to tell us a little bit about working on the election days. They come in and help with voting, and they do a lot of volunteering in town. So, folks, could you come up and talk a little bit about that? Mark?
I'm not involved in the voting.
He's just involved in the school. For several years now, I've been working for Jennifer on election day and town meeting and things like that. My job is usually checking in the voters, and I find it to be an interesting job. There have its slow times, so if more people would come and vote, it would be a lot busier.
Marita, excuse me. We brought you here under false pretenses. We are dedicating the Acton Town Report tonight, and this year's Acton Town's report is dedicated to Marita and Percival Lowell.
Kidding.
Acton is a community rich with tradition of volunteerism, and it continues to this day. But on rare occasions does any community or town have a couple as giving of themselves to so many different aspects of their community as Marita and Percival Lowell. Their involvement consisted of a wide range, innumerable list of events, committees, and volunteerism. You might find Marita performing on stage at the yearly talent show or collecting tickets at the door. They always supported the school's gifted and talented teams, often traveling to competitions. Marita and Percy, often called Mark by close friends, often filled in at the school whenever a volunteer might have been needed. They wanted for all children to have the opportunities that their sons had. They raised two sons while owning and operating a small business. Mark and Marita often worked around the clock with their family business while raising their sons. Although both of them always physically conservative, they were huge proponents for education and opportunity for every child in the Acton community. Their sons graduated from two of the best colleges in the country, MIT and Princeton University. And they wanted for every child in Acton to have the same opportunities and gave of themselves tirelessly to make it happen. Marita has been a generous, community-spirited woman with a great sense of humor, with a soft $1 million smile, and her caring nature is renowned in our community. And her charity and love for all people and groups will be missed more than words can portray. We wrote this when we thought you were moving.
We're back.
Working at the polls on election day or checking in the residents at the annual town meeting, always professional, eloquent, and polite. Mark will always be the businessman and visionary that approached every issue wanting the best bang for the buck, the return on the town's investment, yet always with empathy and compassion, especially for the next generation. Even when you disagree with Mark, it was impossible to be mad at him. His opinion, often boisterous and emotional, but always with passion, sincerity, and the best interest for the town. Mark served several years on the town's budget committee. Both Marita and Mark have lived in the motto of leaving their community and planet a better place. They both had an open mind, enormous hearts, and saw the world through their own colorful lens, always hoping and seeing the best in people. They gave their heart and soul to Acton. They viewed challenges and town involvement as opportunities to grow the needs of others as their own. They are living examples and the epitome of the word community. A belief of good and happiness are not something to strive for, but rather a way of consistently being through good times and bad. Although Marita and Mark will be moving from Acton to be closer to their grandchildren, the Acton community will forever have an indelible imprint left behind by Marita and Mark. We thank them both and wish them Godspeed. Acton will miss Marita and Mark Lowell.
Beautiful.
I have to thank Jim Driscoll for doing the dedication, and David Cody for getting a picture of you folks without you knowing it down at the foot of the pond. So thank you for all you do. And we are going to shut the meeting down for about 10 or 15 minutes now, and hope you will join us for some refreshments.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we're back. Approval of the agenda.
I move that we approve the agenda.
Seconded.
All in favor? Approval of the minutes of the last meeting?
I move that we approve the minutes of the last meeting.
Seconded.
All in favor? Old business, upcoming holiday closures.
Thanks. Transfer station will be closed on Wednesday, December 24th. Town Hall will be closed on Wednesday, December 24th, Thursday, December 25th, and Friday, December 26th. The transfer station and the Town Hall will be open as scheduled on Wednesday, December 31st. The Town Hall will be closed on Thursday, January 1st.
Next item on the agenda is new business, building fee exemption request. Do we have Mrs. Barrows? You want to come up?
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, members of the board. I'm Dale Barrows. I live at 630 Youngs Ridge Road, Acton. I've lived there since 1980. And I am the owner of the Little Red Schoolhouse. I'm the only taxpayer-owned with the Little Red Schoolhouse. There's no other schoolhouses owned by a taxpayer here in Acton.
Yeah, there is.
There is another schoolhouse, but it is on the historic site. Mine is historic register, mine is not. If I could impose on you to give you some background of the story of why I had to come to the town office to see about my schoolhouse needing repair, I'd be glad to share that story with you if I could.
Sure.
Thank you. Back on October 18th was Saturday, just before 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Unfortunately, a distracted driver drove head-on into my schoolhouse. She was a young woman, 26 years old. She was on her way home from work. She was coming up Youngs Ridge just past the Acton Veterinary Clinic. And if you're familiar with Youngs Ridge, the road becomes very wide there. It's like a boulevard, and then it meets the Y where my Little Red Schoolhouse sits. Unfortunately, she accidentally dropped something and drove head-on right into my schoolhouse. Fortunately, she did not get hurt badly at all. She did have some severe bruising from the airbags going off. Very, very fortunate young woman. Luckily, it was just her in the car. She didn't have her young six-year-old child with her, thank goodness. I was not home at the time of the incident. Just about 5 o'clock that afternoon, I come home, I drive up to my schoolhouse, and I'm just horrified at the damage to my schoolhouse. At that moment, I didn't realize Robin Ham and his significant other, Charlie, were sitting in my driveway. My house is up the large field. It's the White Cape with the attached two-car garage. And I just put my car in park right in the middle of the intersection there, just horrified, and they came down to tell me what had happened. They apologized up and down. They were very sorry about what has happened, and they said they would offer to help with whatever we could do to repair the schoolhouse. So I came down to the town office to meet with the code enforcement officer. Very pleasant. Kenneth Paul was professional. He immediately approved me repairing my schoolhouse, but I was asked to pick it up and move it so it met the guidelines that it would be 75 feet from the center line of Youngs Ridge and 75 feet from the center line of Buzzell Road. Well, I had gotten an estimate, and the estimate is, it was a lot of damage. And I asked if I did fill out the application. The application does not state anywhere on here that how much the fee will be or anything like that. Unfortunately, my request to repair the schoolhouse on the existing site was turned down by the code enforcement officer, and it went before the planning board. The codes were read to me. The code book can be confusing. I thought I understood what the codes meant, and where it was a non-conforming building, that I could just go ahead and repair the building. But I was told that's not the case. And at the planning board meeting, it seemed like they kept referring to lake shore or lakefront properties. I'm the only schoolhouse that would be asking for an exception. I feel I'm different, I'm unique than a cottage or a camp looking to put it on an addition or a deck or a garage or whatever. All I want to do is repair my Little Red Schoolhouse on its existing site. And unfortunately, when I was turned down, I'm working, of course, with the insurance people. The insurance people asked if I would please get a copy of the denial, and I contacted Brenda here at the code enforcement office, and she said she would work on getting that, but that I owed $125. And I'm going, $125? That's like, figuratively speaking, that's like another slap in the face. You know, it only turned me down. It just doesn't, it didn't sit well with me, so I complained, and that was when I got word that I could be on tonight's meeting. And I do appreciate being able to speak to you to let you know what my story is. I had brought to that planning board meeting my survey. I had a survey done in 2009, and you can clearly see where over the years, unintentionally, the town has paved more and more and encroached on my property right in front of my schoolhouse. Also, I had brought a copy of my deed, which I have my documents with me. I've lined them right up out here. The opening paragraph to my deed doesn't talk about my house up in the field. It talks about the Little Red Schoolhouse building. And that Little Red Schoolhouse building is more than just the Little Red Schoolhouse. For our community right there in the Youngs Ridge area, it is a landmark. Everybody loves the Little Red Schoolhouse. Everybody refers to helping anybody. Oh, you go down by the Little Red Schoolhouse, you either take a right or go down over the hill. The Little Red Schoolhouse has been there for decades and decades and decades. I have went around and nobody wanted to see it at the planning board meeting. I had gathered names from abutters, neighbors. Every one of them were very, very interested in, please repair the schoolhouse right where it is. And that's what my petition said, that I would not be complying with the town codes, but I was just asking to repair my schoolhouse and keep it on the existing location. In addition to that, I also brought stories. I have the August 2002 edition of the Sanford News. Helen Wentworth, back in 1924, taught at my Little Red Schoolhouse. Previous to her, a woman by the name of Thelma Bridges. Her very first job was teaching at my Little Red Schoolhouse. It was quite an experience for her. She taught in 1922. She paid room and board to the large farmhouse that was previously owned by Agnes Wilson, and subsequently now is owned by the Acton Vet Services. It's owned by Jessica and Kevin Perks. Now, you know, it's got some very, very rich history. At the very top of my hill on Youngs Ridge, he's not alive here today, but Victor Horn went to school at my Little Red Schoolhouse. So did his siblings, his brothers. So it's really got a deep roots in the community right there. And with most schoolhouses nationwide, the schoolhouses are right close to the road. It's easy access for the students and for the teacher. Being the taxpayer-owned schoolhouse, I am the person that has always done all the resources to any repairs and maintenance to that schoolhouse. One of my neighbors, Ruth Brown, she had let me know that the roof that was on it was that old-fashioned sheet metal like they put on barns and stuff. She goes, they just threw that on there. What really was on there was wooden shingles. If you go by my schoolhouse today, you'll see I put wooden shingles on that schoolhouse. You'll see over the years I completely put new pine clapboards on that Little Red Schoolhouse. Over the years I have stained it. I have the red color. I have painted the trim multiple times. I've done that. In fact, this last June I completely restained the building. Every holiday, I try to put wreaths on the shuttered windows. I keep the lawn mowed. I put what I can from my own resources into that little building to try and keep it somewhat attractive and not an eyesore to the community. Would really appreciate, and I hope you can tell the passion I have for this Little Red Schoolhouse, and ask if there's, and not out of disrespect whatsoever to our code enforcement officer, there is no disrespect to our planning board people. These people volunteer and give a great deal of their time to helping make our community what it is. I would really appreciate your review. I invite you to come to my home. I invite you to come take a tour of my building. Just recently, I had another builder come up and look at to try to give me an estimate to try to see just visually where the schoolhouse would sit. It would be about a quarter to a third of the way up the field. It just doesn't belong there, sir. It just does not belong there. It belongs right down on the corner. When they looked at the building, he is not able to just pick it up and move it. What they're going to have to do if we go through with it is they'll salvage what they can out of the interior of the building and tear the building down and try to do a reproduction, which to me completely destroys the character, the authenticity, the special meaning that Little Red Schoolhouse has for our community up in the Youngs Ridge area. And as I mentioned, I mean no disrespect to the town officials I've been working with. The money is one thing. I mean, it probably should have been disclosed that what the fees would be, but that's minor compared to my passion to save my Little Red Schoolhouse. I've been recently retired. I worked for over 35 years at Kennebunk Savings Bank. Prior to that, I worked at another bank for 3.5 years. And if you ever knew what banking was like, you would know there are rules and there are regulations you cannot believe. Federal regulations, state regulations, guidelines, FDIC. But there are times when common sense overrules and an exception can be made. I've seen that in the decades that I was managing the Northborough branch of Kennebunk Savings Bank. I'm appealing to your compassion and asking for a reversal on that decision, if possible, and allow me to repair my schoolhouse on its existing site. And I open the floor now to questions you may have for me.
Well, first of all, I can probably understand you better than anybody else in town because I also own an Acton one-room schoolhouse. Mine is still running as a one-room schoolhouse. I have students there every day.
Wonderful.
We redid the building to modernize it, but we replaced it with the windows that were there. The two previous owners to me had used it as a garage, so they had taken the front off and had big garage doors, and they were bringing excavators and backhoes and things like that in there to work on it. And we've replaced it with a glass front and triple pane windows, the exact same windows as what was there, and put a glass front on to replace the garage doors. And I could feel for you because I know how much work and how much I care about that school. And I also met the people that taught at my school, because it ran from 1963 to 1959, and the woman that was teaching there last lived up at Blueberry Hill Farm. So when my students started rebuilding the schoolhouse, she came down and explained how the school ran, and they didn't have water, and the outhouses were still on my schoolhouse. We had to move the outhouses off to put bathrooms in. And the boys' bathroom had a wood shed, so the boys went to the bathroom, they had to bring the wood back to the wood stove. So I understand probably more than anybody else because I am very compassionate about my building. The problem is, because it's been damaged, if nothing had happened to it, it could stay there forever. Because it's been damaged and because the zoning has changed, we cannot allow you to put it in the same place. If the town were to permit you to put it in the same place, the next time somebody had an accident, the town of Acton would be liable, not you, because we have zoning that says it cannot be there. I don't know if the planning board or the code enforcement officer told you after the meetings, we did contact our attorney, and he told us straight out that if we allowed you to rebuild that building in that spot, any other accident that came in, the town of Acton would be at fault. Now, having said that, if the selectmen, knowing this, allow you to build it right where it is, then we are not doing our job. So then the town's insurance would not be responsible, but the personal insurance of the three of us would be responsible. So the only way we can allow you to fix that building is if it is put back with the proper setbacks. I'm not sure what it is 75 feet from each road?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the only way that we can allow, and I honestly, I feel for you, because I tore my building apart. They had tin walls, tin ceilings. We took that all apart so we could insulate it. I saw how it was built. The beams were all hand-hewn. They were, it wasn't measurement like 16 on center like we build now. It was wherever they thought a beam would go. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful building, and mine has lasted over 200 years. And, as long as you keep a roof on it. I have a bus where I travel up near your way, and I did see somebody staining that in the spring, and I know the building always looks great, and I wish it was within our power to say, yes, you can build it right where it is, but it's not. The only recourse, the next step you can't, is to Superior Court, and they could make a decision other than that, and then that would take it off of the hands of the town should a judge take into effect that it's a historic building. The problem is it's not on the historic site. We have 4 schoolhouses in Acton. Mine's the Riverside School, yours. The library was the main one here, and then the one that the town owns, that's a historical site. So I passionately feel for you. I understand completely what you're going through, but there is absolutely nothing we can do to allow you to rebuild it right where it is. And I apologize.
Thank you.
Okay.
Evening.
Hi.
Robin Ham. I live on Youngs Ridge. Unfortunately, my stepdaughter is the one that hit that building. There is no way that we could put a barrier in front of that building, like a guardrail or anything to protect that building the way it sits. It always it has to be moved?
Yeah. According to the attorney, because the town passed the zoning that makes those setbacks, anything that's built after that zoning was voted in.
But it's already built.
But they're asking to fix it, and by
But it's not-
fixing it, they're gonna have to move it back, because in order for them to give the building permit with the zoning the way it is, it will have to comply with, new zoning rules.
But you're not building, you're replacing. You know, that's my argument, you know. You're not taking a plot of land and putting a building on it. The building is already there.
Right.
All you want to do is put a few clapboards on, and it's, nobody's going to go in that building, ever. Hasn't been nobody in that building for many years. So I can't see why, you know, yeah, I can see maybe having to put a barrier in front of it to take the burden off the town, you know?
It wouldn't do it. And the problem is it's not just a few clapboards, it's off its foundation.
But we have, so you're going to take that building off the foundation anyways and move it. So what's the difference of putting it, just pushing it back 6 inches and putting it on the original foundation and leaving it there? You know, that's my argument. You know, you say, well, you got to move it. Well, you got to move it to put it 75 feet, so it's off the foundation. You're going to take it off the foundation anyways. So what's the difference of taking it off the foundation or leaving it on the foundation it's on, moving it 6 inches or 8 inches, whatever the things has moved, and putting it right back originally?
Okay.
You know,
Chip,
that's my opinion.
Chip, do you want to answer that?
Chip Fennell, Planning Board, if it's damaged more than 50% of its valuation, then you have to see if it will be able to meet the required setbacks for that district. If this was damaged less than 50%, it may have been able to be repaired on its footprint. But because it's not, it's going to cost more than 50% of the valuation to repair it, then you have to look at the piece of property, and it has to meet to the greatest practical extent its setbacks. And because it has a lot of room, and it can be set back 75 feet from the center line of both roads, then that's where it has to be. That's the way the ordinance is, that's the way the law is, and the selectmen are correct in that there's nothing they can do, and the only recourse after this is Superior Court. If they were going to grant you some kind of a variance, then the next time somebody comes up who doesn't want to have his house set back 75 feet from the road, he wants it at 70 feet. And, well, you know, why not? I mean, so pretty soon people are going to be building on the road. Now, unfortunately, the schoolhouse has been there for years and nothing happened to it. But this time it did. If it were replaced in the same spot, and you said the town keeps encroaching on the property with the expansion of the road, for good or ill, that means that's getting plowed further. And the closer the road gets, or the unplowed, or the plowed roadway gets to the building, the more of a danger it is if somebody happens to come careening around the corner. Not just a simple accident, but skidding on ice and slamming into the building. And then there's really a problem. And if the building's not there, they're just going to slam into a snowdrift. But if the building's there, it's going to be a bigger deal, and it's going to be a real big deal for the town. So if it can be set, if it can meet the conforming standards of the ordinance, then that's what it has to do, because it's been damaged so greatly. All right?
Thank you.
And that's all we were basing our, it's not even a decision that we make. This is what the ordinance is. It's more than 50% damage, then it has to be set, it has to meet to the best practical extent the setbacks. And if it has room to be set back all the way, then that's where it has to be, just like it were a brand new home, because of the amount of damage. All right?
Thank you.
Yep.
Could I add just a couple more comments?
Sure.
Thank you. As I mentioned, one of the things that I did is I went around to my neighbors asking for if they were willing to sign my petition. One of my neighbors lives approximately 2 houses up the street on Buzzell Road on the right-hand side. His name is Dan Wister. He's a state police trooper. He goes through that intersection day in and day out. Without hesitation, he signed my petition. His wife couldn't wait to sign my petition. The other night, I had a knock on the door. It was our road commissioner, Scott Mooney. Scott was all upset. It was the first he had known that I was having some difficulty with getting my little red schoolhouse repaired on the existing site. And he had absolutely no problems. The schoolhouse has always been there. It was an unfortunate, unintentional accident. And he, as road commissioner, you would think he would be someone that would be completely the opposite, being, yeah, finally, to have the building removed or whatever, but not at all. He's grown up with that. It's, as I mentioned, a landmark, and it has deep roots for a lot of people in my area. Thank you.
Earl Foster. I just had some questions, like this building is not grandfathered at all? Because you brought up on your building, when you redid it, that most of the structure wasn't to code. Now, when you redid your structure, was it brought up to the new standards
Yes, at that time, yeah.
at that time?
Yep.
Okay. Now, I just was wondering, who came up with it was over 55%?
That's the town zoning that was voted on by the townspeople. That's in the zoning.
No, but who came up with it was going to cost her over 55% of the building to just pick it up and set it back on the stones?
We were told what the insurance appraisal was, and we know what the tax value is.
No, that's not so now if anybody, say here in the smaller part of the town, is going to renovate an older home, if the renovation you figure is more than 55%, then they're going to have to either tear the house down or move it.
Well, they'll have to bring it up to modern standards, yeah. I mean, you don't have to move it if you're meeting current.
Just to move it, if it's over the 55, the new guidelines are 75 feet. Most of the older homes in Acton are not 75 feet from the center of the road. So this is something that should be brought up to the
Well,
people to let
if somebody
them know.
comes in for a permit, they have to go through a complete process, and then they, and the planning board will let them know what the new zoning says as far as if you want to put an addition on, you want to put a second floor on.
In addition, just a
That-
regular house, its footprint, back when it was built 100 years ago, it was built to code.
Right.
Now, if you want to
We're not
renovate-
talking about code here. We're talking about because the building's off its foundation and they're in more than 50%, is it? Damaged, then they have to come to current code.
Right, but a lot of these old homes that have been redone recently, I mean, it may have changed the code, putting a cement foundation under an old home that is less than 75 feet from the center of the road doesn't comply then to this new rule that you're talking about. They'd have to move it. Is that true?
So there are some contingencies in the ordinance for putting a full foundation under a building. Everything
It's
is
easy
a
to move it
case by
then.
case, and it goes through the code enforcement, not really the planning board.
It's easy to move it just as it is then, and
Well-
it's just like she would
Well,
think.
this place went under, it's not just picking up and setting it down. Apparently, the floor joists are all shot too, am I correct?
Well,
It's damaged way
okay,
beyond
I'm just going
50%.
by what I'm hearing, that it's
Yeah, but
It's simple, it could be picked up and moved. But I'm just saying, now you've opened it up, that there are people, if they want to renovate an older home in town, that
they have to go to
watch what
code
they do.
enforcement. They have to go, it's a case by case. We can't compare to, somebody's got an
Well,
older house.
75 is 75
It's a case by case. They have to go down and apply, tell them what they want to do. And all we know is this one went through the process of applying for a permit, went to the planning board, and went to our lawyer, and this is what, so this is all we're going to talk about, is this
Right,
one
but
case
mostly
tonight.
The whole concern thing was the 75 feet. So 75 feet doesn't change from her end of town to
No,
another
that's-
end of town.
that's- no, that's everywhere.
75 feet's the law, the rule.
Right, that's everywhere.
So.
From the center line,
If you guys
correct?
have to do a foundation under an older home, that's something you're going to have to be concerned about.
And the cost of the renovation, I think, comes into it as well.
Yes, I understand that, but if you're 50%, that's not much. If you're doing a complete renovation, you've done renovation, it could take 50% of the value of the building.
No, it didn't, I just insulated it and put windows in.
No, I mean, a regular renovation. If you're taking out the horse plastic, gonna do the whole thing all over, there's gonna be a big expense. But I'm just to let the people know that it's something for them to think about. If you're
Okay.
gonna push to 75 feet,
Well, it's zoning that's in effect. Anybody can try and go to the planning board and talk to them about the zoning and have them put it in, but it's a zoning ordinance, it has to be done on the town floor, that's the only
But it's a
place
new
it could be
zoning
changed.
ordinance.
I'm sorry?
it's a new zoning ordinance.
No.
Not,
When
the
it's-
setbacks have been there. I don't know if the 75 foot from the center line of the road was there when the town first enacted zoning, which was late 70s.
Yeah.
Right. So a lot of these houses are 100 years old, so probably setbacks could have been 25 feet.
Right. and so-
Exactly.
When that was built, the road may not have been there, they were horse and buggy then.
Right, that's what I mean.
So the
a
road
lot of-
was built
A lot
around
of
it.
these rules, he's kind of like grandfathered into.
It would be grandfathered if, you know, it was just siding like they're saying, but now it's off the foundation, the chimney has been knocked down, the floor joists are gone, so all that work has to be done, so they have to push it back. And I'm sorry, I feel for you completely, I do, because I love the building, and I really like the heritage of it, and like I said, I had that woman come up and talk about her day-to-day working in my schoolhouse with students, and I understand completely, but we can't look at this emotionally. The law is the law is the law, and we
Well,
have to go by the law,
I'm
and
looking
that's,
by the law, but when this was built,
no,
he said there was probably no road there, and it followed the town's rules and regulations.
right. And if nothing happened to it, it would still be grandfathered, but because it's been damaged, and you have to come for a permit, now the new zoning takes effect. Okay, thank you.
So, I didn't say thank you, I said.
No, I
That's
did.
what- I know, but I'm not asking a question still.
No, I mean, I'd like the next person to come up, because we still have a whole agenda to get through here
I
tonight.
know, but I'm still asking you a question. On yours, now, when you come in.
I'm not going to
you
compare
restate-
mine here tonight, okay?
You are comparing it.
No, I'm not. Have a seat, please. Mark, come on
Excuse
up.
me, little one.
Percival Lowell, how did whoever arrived at this 50%? Obviously, if the building is 100 years old and it needs to be repaired in 2014, it's going to be far more money. But if you were to look at that building and get a builder to tell you what it would cost to rebuild, to build another schoolhouse exactly like that one, and then you compare that figure with what the insurance company says it's going to cost to fix it, you would find out that it isn't over 50%. And if I was the owner, I would take the town to court, because I am sure if the court looks at it and says, well, wait a minute, if you built that building today, it would cost you X number of dollars, and the insurance estimate to repair it is less than 50%, not only would the court tell the woman she could do it, they'd probably make the town of Acton pay the legal fees. And you had better think about that. And what this gentleman said about somebody buying an old house that isn't 75 feet back, and he comes in to get a building permit because he wants to jack it up and put a new foundation under it. And it's obviously going to probably cost more than 50% of what that building cost when it was built. You have to think about what you people decide today can come back to haunt you later on.
Thank you.
I have a question. What, if I can ask, we know the town values the building at, what is it?
$5,000.
$5,000? What, you probably have an insurance policy on your house and on your accessory buildings. What does that value the building at?
On the insurance part of it for that building, I have $36,000 on it.
Okay. Just curious to see what that was. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a couple of facts here. Dick Neal, I'm with the Acton Shapley Historical Society, and we have quite an interest in trying to preserve as much of the historical buildings as we can. But one of the things, I was looking at the zoning code, and we keep, we've been told by the code officer and the planning board that it has to meet the 75-foot setback from both the Youngs Ridge Road and the Buzzell Road. The question that I posed to the code officer yesterday is that whereas this is a unique situation where it's a triangle-shaped lot, that on a rectangular lot, it just makes common sense. The front setback is from the road back to the building. The side setbacks are off to each side. Where this is a triangular thing, and it's facing the peak of the triangle, is that the front setback?
I don't know.
No, I don't expect. I'm just posing this.
And as you know, being a former selectman, the selectmen are never brought into this kind of
No,
situation anyways. You go to the code enforcement, you go to the planning board, and then you can go to the Board of Appeals, but in this case, that doesn't come into effect, so then the next case is the court case. And the selectmen, even if we wanted to, couldn't say, yeah, you can do it, because that's not within our power. So, if you want, her next step is if she wants to continue on, is the Superior Court. And
Okay,
the
but
selectmen never had a chance to make a decision on this anyways.
Just to let you know, okay, the other question I had with a point that I had with the code officer was that by definition in the zoning code, turn around and has a definition of an accessory building. Accessory building is any garage or shed that is less than 600 square feet. If it's under 600 square feet, then it only has to meet a 10-foot setback from the side lot setback, instead of 75.
Right, but we're not talking about side lots, we're talking about two roads.
Yeah, but as I say, where this is unique in a triangle, what is front and what is side?
All I know is our
No,
town
I
attorney
know,
told us that we cannot do anything. If we do, then the town becomes liable, or we become liable because our town attorney told us not to allow it, and we do, then we personally become liable. But again, we are not in this process. The selectmen have nothing to do with this process. You have the code enforcement, then the planning board, then the Board of Appeals, and then the Superior Court. And that's the process for a building permit. So even if we wanted to, we couldn't make a decision to leave it where it was. Okay?
Why don't we go, well, not to close it off altogether, but just look back and review, take a little bit of time and look back and review this. One more, take another week and take a look at it, come back at our next meeting and make a decision?
Well, we can't make a decision anyways.
No, I mean, right now, we're saying no.
No, we're saying we can't do that.
We're saying we can't, yeah.
And that's the law. I
Yeah.
mean, we can't.
But I'd like to just review this a little bit further and just maybe come back at our next meeting and, just have a little more time to look this over.
Paul?
I know this ship has probably sailed, but my Basically, I'm assuming that it's going to need to be moved. My big question was, why can't it be moved without deconstructing it? Apparently, there's floor joist damage. A suggestion, if the building could be repaired sufficiently in place to repair the floor joist, make it structurally sound enough to move it, then perhaps there could be some time granted to let that happen, so then it could be moved without having to deconstruct it. You know, it would still be the same building, it would not be a replica, it would just be in a safer place. Thank you.
Was she initially asking for an abeyance of the fees?
Yeah.
Now, that's something you could do.
Right.
If you, I mean, all right.
Yeah, but that wasn't mentioned, so.
I know, and then it kind of progressed in the way it became now.
Yep. So we can make a motion on that.
What? Oh. Well, what would the motion be?
She was asking us to exempt her from the fees for the $125 for the
Yeah.
permits.
So you want a motion to do that?
That's something you've already paid?
They are holding, when I asked to get a copy of the denial signed by the code enforcement officer for the insurance company, we came to an agreement that the Board of Selectmen would make the decision whether I had to pay it or not, and they're holding the check in a folder at this time. I do have a copy of what the check looks like if you need to see it.
No, it's okay. Exemption request. What we have in our paperwork is building fee exemption request, which just means, you know, to exempt the building fee, but you're still planning on trying to go ahead and repair, move, or what's?
I would really, my wish is to repair it on the existing site, sir.
Yeah.
I don't mean to be aggravating or disrespectful.
No,
You're not
at all.
And
Not
we
at all.
understand completely.
Yeah, we all have the same feeling for the Little Red Schoolhouse where it is. I mean, I've been around here quite some time. I've got pictures of my mother took me about 5 years old standing in front of it, so I know the building. I like it where it is, but, I mean,
You know, just,
I don't see,
not recently, I happened to glance down, it was summertime, I happened to glance down, and here's this family at my Little Red Schoolhouse. They were having a picnic and playing games, you know.
yeah,
It was just so touching and sentimental.
yeah,
I would hate to see the
Ken says we
schoolhouse.
shouldn't.
yeah.
Ken says
I mean,
we shouldn't.
We have to look up the best interest of the town.
Yeah.
You know, like Ted said, if, you know, it could come back to us. I'd like to have a little more time to look into this some more and just gather some more facts and figures, is what I'd like to see.
Well, we're not voting on anything that's going to stop us from doing that, but we do have to give her an
Okay.
answer on her request for being here tonight. So if somebody wants to make a motion on the reimbursement, building fee exemption request.
Yeah.
$125.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you're still trying to go ahead with it, this fee is still pertinent. So, I don't see where we really could.
Okay, so a motion to deny?
I'll make a motion that we deny the building fee, deny the reversal, the exemption of the building fee, as it stands.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? All right. All right, Board of Assessment Review appointment. To Robert T. Gore, the Selectmen of the Municipality of Acton, do in accordance with the provisions of the laws of the state of Maine, hereby appoint you as Board of Assessment Review member within and for the Municipality of Acton until June 30th, 2017, given under our hand this 11th day of December. Motion?
I move that we approve the Board of Assessment Review member of Mr. Gore.
Seconded.
All in favor? Conservation appointments. To Hannah Phillips, the Selectmen and Municipality of Acton, do in accordance with the provisions of the laws of the state of Maine, hereby appoint you as Conservation Committee member within and for the Municipality of Acton until June 30th, 2017, given under our hand this 11th day of December 2014. Motion?
I move, I move that we approve the Conservation Committee member, Hannah Phillips.
Seconded.
All in favor? To Lois Michaud, the Selectmen of the Municipality of Acton, do in accordance with the provisions of the laws of the state of Maine, hereby appoint you as Conservation Committee member within and for the Municipality of Acton until June 30th, 2017. Given under our hand this 11th day of December 2014.
I move that we approve the Conservation Committee member, Lois Michaud.
Seconded.
All in favor? Okay, Balls Dam, Emergency Action Plan and Monitoring Procedures, Bill Catanzi, our EMA Chair, what are they? Director, came up with this, and a motion to accept.
I move that we accept the emergency action plan and monitoring procedures for the Balch Dam.
Seconded.
All in favor? Department of Transportation Speed Survey Letter. Tim Susi, Maine Department of Transportation. Dear Mr. Susi, on behalf of the town of Acton, please consider this letter a formal request to have a speed survey done on the following roads within our municipality. Especially, we would like you to establish the appropriate speed limit for each road listed below and also determine where the best location for said speed limit signs to be placed. Canal Road, H Road, Nason Road, Newbridge Road, Peacock Road, Point Road, Sampage Road, and Youngs Ridge Road. The town of Acton appreciates your efforts and understands the possibility of time constraints. With that said, we'd like to point out that we have numerous issues, including accidents on Youngs Ridge Road, and request that you address this road immediately if possible. Thank you in advance. If you need anything else, please contact our office manager, Jennifer Rue. A motion?
I move that we accept the letter and send it forth.
Seconded.
All in favor? Okay, we have an updated fee schedule. Code enforcement has put forward new fee schedule. Dwellings, 30% expansions, going from $100 to $200. Stormwater mitigation, erosion control, $75. We didn't have that before. Conditional use. Let's see the conditional use.
Permit fee.
Oh, okay. Conditional use is $200. Site plan review is $200. Plumbing, state fee plus 25% plus 15%. WQIF? Under the plumbing permit? Okay. Re-inspections, $50. Return inspection, $100. Removal of a stop work order, $200 plus $275 a day. Certificate of occupancy, $1 a day after expiration of permit. Site visits prior to issue of permit, $100 for the first hour. After first hour, $50 per hour. Copies, $1 color, 50 cents for black and white. General zoning letter, $75. An appeal is $200. Subdivision is $200 plus $200 per lot created. plus $10 per lot required for notification and $60 for legal notice. A motion.
I move that we accept the new fee schedule.
Seconded.
All in favor? Oop, yeah. Is it- Oh. Okay. Town of Acton fee schedule, zoning ordinance, $20, subdivision regulations, $20. These are copies of these regulations. Comprehensive plans, $20. Photocopies, the same as for code enforcement, 50 cents per page, black and white, $1 per page color. An assessing card, $1 per page. Deeds, $2. Tax map set, $75. That's for a set of all the tax maps, or each, $2. Fax incoming or outgoing, $1.
I move that we accept the new fees.
Seconded.
All in favor? Okay, MMA, Maine Municipal Association, puts out a monthly magazine, and the town of Acton has been highlighted in it this month, and I'd like to read this article to you. It's only a page. It's very impressive, and I think you're going to be impressed also with the work that has been done by our folks here to make Acton the one that other towns are looking at. GIS tools show potential for communities of all sizes. GIS mapping has come down in price, has increased acceptance among computer users, and has won supporters who tout its virtues, but its acceptance by Maine municipal officials, particularly in smaller towns, is uneven, though more communities embrace it over the last decade. GIS, which stands for Geographic Information System, uses digital devices designated to capture, store, manipulate, analyze, manage, and present all types of geographical data according to one definition. It does just that. The most common application on municipal websites is for tax maps, which can provide a wealth of information about properties, including ownership, photos, deeds, and zoning status, with a few clicks of a computer mouse. And there are a host of other possibilities, including overlays for natural resources, village districts, wetlands, shoreland zoning, fire hydrants, and just about anything else a community wants to list. Maine's larger cities and towns have long used GIS mapping on their websites and often have dedicated staff person working on them. But packages are now in use in much smaller towns and even plantations, though there are differing attitudes about how much the public wants to know and how much websites should provide. A believer in Acton. One of the true believers in the value of GIS is Jennifer Rue, Town Clerk and Office Manager for Acton. 5 years ago, the town bought a package of mapping and website services from CAI Technologies, a Littleton, New Hampshire company. Tax mapping and assessing data was the initial entry point, Rue said, but Acton uses a system for a lot more. We can identify residents where people who are over 90 live and might need assistance. She said it shows us where dogs are located and whether there are derelict houses along a particular route. The derelict house inventory, for instance, has proved useful to the sheriff's deputy with whom Acton contracts for when he responds to vandalism complaints. The officer can call up the housing information right in his cruiser. The town planning board and code enforcement officer often uses GIS. You can click on a particular property and immediately get a list of all the abutters within 15 feet, Ruth said. The assessor can use it to get the shore frontage of a lakefront lot. They've done amazing things with the lake, she said, of which Acton has many. Of course, all this depends on the amount and accuracy of data being entered. Ruth said it took a lot of work to populate the website, but it proved its worth over time. After the initial installation, Acton pays $2,650 a year to maintain the system. That includes an annual overhaul and daily updates. A change of address received in the afternoon is on the website the following day. Tim Fountain, Vice President at CAI Technology, said Acton is an example of a combination mapping website package that is popular with many smaller communities. CAI provides several series to numerous towns and cities in New Hampshire and Massachusetts and has been expanding in Maine with a half a dozen Maine municipalities up and running or under contract, often as outgrowth of other services it provides. Then they start talking about other towns that are just starting to look into this. Jennifer has got us to buy this package when Bill and I first came in and has brought it up to date. And then we brought in our assessing information is on there now. The real estate companies love it because they don't have to come down here and get all kinds of copies, and they can just go online and get all the information they want. So if you're buying or selling, it'll save you a lot of money. And it sounds like Acton is way ahead of the game, and that's why we've been. And if you look for the Maine Townsman online, you can read the article there. Okay, Warren and Finance Committee resignation. Dear Selectmen, please accept this as formal notice of my resignation from the position of member of the Warren and Finance Committee effective immediately. After careful consideration, I do not feel I would be able to effectively carry out the duties of a committee member due to the fact I will not be able to attend enough meetings to make sound judgments on warrant articles. Sincerely, Joan Nass. Motion?
I move we accept with great regret that resignation.
Seconded.
All in favor? Thank you for your service, Joan. You're going to be missed. Tax abatements. Dear Robert and Allison Wilson, the Town of Acton has reviewed the 2014 assessed value of your Acton property. As a result of our review, we have granted an abatement on Acton map lot 151-011. The reason for the abatement are the land value was adjusted to reflect the fact that the parcel is .25 acres and not 5.2. 0.25 acres and not 52 acres. The revised valuation of tax and the original valuation of tax are displayed in the table below. We, the Acton Board of Assessors, have approved a tax abatement for $16,992 in valuation and $188.61 in tax dollars on real estate. Please contact our assessors agent, John E. O'Donnell and Associates, if you have any questions or concerns regarding this matter. If you are dissatisfied with our decision and wish to appeal, you have 60 days to appeal the action. Acton Board of Assessment Review, 35H Road, Acton, Maine, 04001. Motion.
I move that we approve the tax abatement for the Wilsons.
Seconded.
All in favor? Stephen Savia. Dear Stephen Savia, the Town of Acton has reviewed the 2014 assessed value of your Acton property. As a result of our review, we have granted an abatement on Acton map lot 237-012. The reasons for the abatement are the home had a fire and was not there on 4/1/2014. The revised valuation of tax and the original valuation of tax are displayed in the table below. We, the Acton Board of Assessors, have approved a tax abatement for $93,423 in valuation and $1,037 in tax dollars on real estate. Please contact our assessors agent, Johnny O'Donnell Associates, if you have any questions or concern regarding this matter. If you are dissatisfied with our decision and wish to appeal, you have 60 days to appeal to the Acton Board of Assessment Review. Motion.
I move that we approve the tax abatement for Stephen Savia.
Seconded.
All in favor? Or isn't, unless it came off?
It was just the one piece. Oh,
The sign-off sheet. Okay, we'll have to sign that when we go up. Sign-off sheet's in here. All right. Other business? Anybody have any other business?
what's this?
Tree lighting recap. You want to do that? You want to read that?
Oh, sure. This is a tree lighting recap. Huge turnout this year, well over 100 people attended throughout the evening. Added buffet potluck dinner this year, which was a big hit. Thank you to all those that baked goodies to share. Crafting cookie cookies, decorating, caroling, photos with Santa. Big thanks to you, too, Jenny Sayre, Jana Robichaud, Lisa Gore, Charlie Wallow, Debbie Foster, and Michelle Rumney for organizing. Special thanks go to Ben Gore, Josh Gore, Tim Robichaud, Alexis Rumney, and Bud Foster for help with the setup and cleanup. Indoor tree was donated by Bill and Sandy Shields. Thank you for the donation. Outdoor tree was donated by Robin Ham. History behind the tree is that Robin's brother Dickie, who is no longer with us, planted this tree when he was in 4-H. Thank you for the to the Ham family for the donation of this tree. Hannaford Supermarket donated a $25 gift certificate towards the event.
Thank you. A motion.
I move that we adjourn.
Seconded.
All in favor?